Everybody, welcome to On the Glide Slope. I had a request from a reader to do a more first-person videos, so happy to do that. I'm trying it out. I've got the GoPro obviously mounted on my head, which looks totally ridiculous, but we'll try it to see how it works. We are loaded in at Jackson Hole Airport this morning, not using the special Orbx Jackson Hole scenery, just the default for the North American land class, and we're in the Spike Piper Warrior, the PA 28161, and we're on the ramp here at Jackson Hole, and we're going to fly today doing Dead Reckoning. We're going to fly north on about a heading of 350 degrees to the end of Jackson Hole Lake. Then we're going to make a slight left turn and fly northwest and then land at West Yellowstone. So that's our plan. No air traffic control on this flight. I just wanted to see how the first person works. I've got my phone here tied to the GoPro, so it should see what I see. Hopefully the batteries will last, but that'll help me make sure that I'm not getting strange alignment visuals or anything for you guys. And then finally, I've got the GoPro set to the wide view, which I think shows more of the cockpit and more of what I see, but it may be that the narrow view or the medium view is a bit better, so we'll just find out. Also, this Piper, the Spike, it simulates the cross bar across the front of the cockpit in the Piper, and then it has obviously a wet compass there. I haven't moved the wet compass here because I've got some buttons on it I use for the nav radios and stuff, so we have two compasses today. So I will get things fired up, and we'll be ready to go using our trusty checklist here. For the Warrior, parking brake set, seatbelt secure, electric commitment is off, circuit breakers are all in, fuel set to the fullest tank, it is, master switches are on. We would then turn on our fuel pump just to prime things a little bit, get positive fuel flow, mixture rich, carb heat is off, throttle open quarter, and then we would yell clear and try to start the motor. There we go. Fuel pump off. Back to idle, which is about 1,000 RPMs. Check to see if we have positive oil pressure, which we do. Switch to the fullest tank, which is left. Temperature's coming up. Fuel flow is good. Amperage is good. All that stuff looks good. And turn on our lights, beacon, strobes, avionics. Those should come alive. Jackson Hole as its ATIS on 120.625. I can't go to thousands on this radio, so we'll just look on this and see what it is. Looks like our winds are 180 at 3, and so I'll turn my heading beacon to 180, my heading bug, so I know where the winds are. I just thought it'd be nice to show the whole startup procedure here with the GoPro on the first person view, so that's why I'm doing this. Altimeter is 3021. The Piper, I still have it set to the European barometric pressure, so here on the display it actually shows the right one, so we'll do it there. 3021 is about right. Our altitude here should be about 6,451 feet, and that's where we're showing. Map, we'll log direct to
TOS system test okay.
We'll log direct to West Yellowstone, even though we're not going to fly direct because of the mountains. I don't want to try to take this Piper up to 16,000 feet. I don't believe that would be safe. So there we are, Yellowstone, perfect, activate, so we're plugged in on that. And I know that once we take off, we're going to fly a heading of about 349. So if our our wind is at 180, then we're going to take, look at our chart here, we're going to take runway 19. So we'll get ready to do that, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, we are taxiing out here to the end of runway 18. And we'll presume we've been given clearance, and we will be making a left downwind departure to the north. So we're going to take off, fly runway heading till we're at about, let's see, pattern altitude here is 7,200 feet, so we'll go up to about 7,000 feet, and then we will make our right-hand turn, or left-hand turn. So nobody coming. We'll give some gas. Presume we've done our run up. We're all ready to go. Runway 19 in this flight simulator. And then fuel pump on. Full flaps. Or full flaps, full throttle. Gosh, I hope I'm qualified to pilot this thing today. Airspeed's alive. Okay, 53. We'll start to back on the aileron pressure, or the elevator pressure a little bit. Of course, we're high, so it's going to take more speed to fly here. Yep. That's something in the spike Piper that I found quite realistic with the real Piper, is that because of the ground effect, when you take off, you have to let the airplane accelerate. If you pull back too much on the stick, it will not take off. It'll settle on the runway. So you have to sort of let the airplane come up off the ground. Now our best climb speed here is 80, so we gotta see if we can climb. Now we're starting to climb. Which is why you need special instructions for mountain flying. Fuel pump off. We're climbing about 200 feet a minute. Now 1 notch of flaps would help me climb a little bit if we were going to do that, because it provides lift, even though it slows you down a little. But with the altitude and the weather, there we go. We're flying at about 65, 70 knots, and we're just barely climbing. There we go. Our mixture was too rich for takeoff, so classic mistake on my part. Put down those flaps. Then up here at this altitude, I don't need to have the mixture that rich. So as soon as I leaned the mixture, we started taking off. So now we're doing better. Now we can climb at our climb speed of 80. So that's the kind of mistake that could get you really hurt in a real airplane. We luckily are in a simulator. But, you know, the checklist, the mixture presumes full, but at 8,000 feet, you'd probably be running pretty lean. And otherwise, there's just not enough air in the gas mixture for you to do what you need to do and have as much power as you need to have. All right, so we've got a positive rate of climb here. We're at 7,000 feet. We'll go ahead and make our left-hand turn. So, when we're coming down our downwind leg, you can see the field there. Now we'll trim for about 80. 79 on this airplane is the best climb speed. And we're going. See over there, golf courses, ski resorts, some of the Orbx scenery. We're running real weather. I slandered unintentionally the hi-fi guys with ActiveSky Cloud Art in my last video. I thought it had tanked my frame rates, and it really hadn't. I have reactivated it, and I think I just had global vector for Orbx amped up too much. I had done a couple flights with it amped up all the way and had been getting great frame rates. But I think just in a more populated area with more tertiary roads, it was just more than it was ready to really handle. So we're back with ActiveSky16 and ActiveSky Cloud Art operating, although I run it with the Rex textures, and seems to be going pretty well. My frame rates are right at about 30, which is where I'd want them to be, and it looks smooth. So I'm going to fly here north along the mountains, and then come back in a little bit, and we'll call when we're over Jackson Lake. And we've got the Tetons here. On this side, that's Grand Teton. And again, if I get that Orbx scenery for the area, I'm sure it'll look even better. And then this up here is coming up is the complex of lakes that lead up to Jackson Lake, which you can just see right out here. In terms of controls, we are trimmed pretty well right around 9,000 feet. We're descending a little bit, but I've backed off the throttle just a hair. Everything's green over here on the instruments for the motor. And we're flying along. We're just holding about 10,000 or 2,000 feet above surface, which is fine. There goes the Snake River over there. And we'll check in over the lake. Okay, we're over Jackson Lake, and mountains over there on the left, and the lodge and resort over here on the right. We're going to start making a little bit of a left-hand turn here to go around the edge of the mountains. But this is a good opportunity for a little lesson in weather about one of the reasons it was so hard for us to climb out of Jackson, and it wasn't just the fact that I had the mixture set way too rich. It's also something we would call density altitude. Density altitude is what the, I guess you would say, the physical barometric pressure is that your airplane is at, which varies with altitude, and it varies with heat. And the hotter it is, the higher it seems to your airplane. And the higher it is to your airplane, the less air there is. And the less air there is, the richer your mixture is, which means your motor has too much gas and not enough air and to combust well, and that reduces your power. It also affects how much lift you have aerodynamically, because thinner air produces less lift. So when you are at a higher altitude, you have less lift for the airplane and less juice for the motor, and those two things combine to make for dangerous circumstances. It means longer takeoff rolls, and it also means slower climb rates and less power in the power band, that you'll get less juice from going from, say, 2,000 to 5,000 RPM than you normally would. So the altitude, the actual altitude at Jackson right now in real world weather is 6,400 feet. The density altitude is 8,400 feet. So 8,500 is a very, very high airport altitude and can really sap your performance. So a lot of people, as I've been studying and reading more mostly about accidents, make mistakes with density altitude. They will be, it'll take too long for them to climb out. They won't be able to climb over an obstacle. They'll be on a short final and decide they need to go around, and they think they have the power to climb out and clear something, and they don't. It's something to really pay attention to and to really be mindful of. And if I was doing my job and really trying to practice like I would play, sitting on the ramp at Jackson, I would have checked both my mixture and the density altitude and been prepared for more of a, intense, slower climb. So it's important to do this the way you would normally do it if you're serious about your flight training, and I can do a better job of that. We're going to fly right down the neck of Jackson Lake here, and then we will be basically staying on this same heading. And then in this next leg we have about 43 nautical miles, and at 90 knots, which is about what we're doing. The computer tells us we'll have about 45 minutes on that. Let's see, about 30 minutes on that leg. So that's where we are. I don't know if you can see the fourth light on the iPad here, but that's our position. Okay, we've left the Jackson Lake area. We're now headed direct to West Yellowstone, and we need a good 10,000 feet or so to be safe and clear of the scenery here, the terrain scenery. The plateau here, the Madison Plateau by Shoshone Lake, comes up to about 8,800 feet. I'd like to have at least 1,500 feet above that, so we're talking about going up to maybe 10.2. So we're making our climb here as best we can. Again, we don't have a lot of power to climb. We're climbing somewhere around 75 knots and doing a couple hundred feet a minute doing that. So that's just a safety margin. Not a lot of places to put the airplane down here other than into the trees if something were to go wrong. So we need to be mindful of that. There's some clearing off here to the left if I needed it. I'd probably be heading over into that terrain there, and would probably make that. So we're just kind of making our way here and gingerly managing our altitude and our speed. Turn here so we're a little more direct on our heading. Okay, we're about 30 miles from West Yellowstone Airport. That over there, looking that way, is the Winnegar Hole Wilderness area. We're up on top of the Madison Plateau now. We're at about 10.7, which is about right. Over there in the distance, you can see Shoshone Lake. And just north of Shoshone Lake is Old Faithful. And I'd love to go to Yellowstone. I've never been there, which is ironic because I grew up out west, but just never sort of happened. So, trip I have yet to make. ActiveSky16, I think, does an excellent job of rendering haze, and since the ActiveSky Cloud Art update came, I think they get the sky textures really well done, or really right. And you know, there's a lot of haze out west. I spent a lot of time out there, and you'd like to think that you can see, you know, clear as a bell for 40 miles or 100 miles, and sometimes you just can't. So I'm sure it's extrapolating the visibility distances from whatever airports in the area are and working this out. But this looks and feels real to me. And the cloud texture, or the sky textures, really look great. So that over there is actually Yellowstone Lake in the distance. And we're kind of right under Shoshone Lake, or it's just on the other side of that ridge. And now we're coming into about the last 25 miles or so to West Yellowstone. West Yellowstone, get the airplane trimmed here. West Yellowstone, if we look quickly, we can kind of get ourselves ready. The AWOS is 118.1. We may even be able to pick that up if it has it in this version of Prepared. We'll see. Nope. And the CTAP is 123.0. So we'll get ready when we're about 10 miles out to start making those calls. And we'll start getting ready 123.0 for that. We'll check the weather MEDAR there. Winds are 210 at 5. And clear below 12,000 Density altitude 86.9. Altimeter 3019. Just a notch lower than what we had at Jackson. So 10 miles out from there, we'll make our calls and start letting people know we're coming, and then it looks like it's standard left traffic. If the wind was coming from .210 at 5, we'll come in on 19. So we're on the perfect entry for a 45-degree entry into the pattern. We'll make left traffic and we'll land on 19. So that's our plan. Our pattern altitude there is 7,600 feet. And it's at 66, so it's 1,000 feet, which is standard. Okay, so making our way in. This is interesting. I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like they have accurately rendered a fire burn area in Orbx. That looks like burned timber to me, which is pretty impressive. I guess an area still burned from the fires a few years ago. This is just a close-up of that burned timber land class that Orbx has put together. It looks really pretty cool, and looks like a burned forest, which is, you know, what it's supposed to be. So well done, great detail. Old Faithful should be just off our right side. I don't know how they would render that other than having the roads to it, but it's down there somewhere. Interesting, burned timber as a land class in Orbx. Well done, guys, that's impressive. Never would have expected to see that. Details. Okay, I'll check in when we're getting ready to enter the pattern for West Yellowstone. West Yellowstone traffic, Cherokee 15 Juliet Golf is 10 miles southeast of the field, 10,400. We'll be making a left downwind 45-degree entry for 19 West Yellowstone. Okay, time to go through our descent checklist. Flight instruments are set. We'll check the weather one more time. Winds are still 210 at 5, so we'll tend our heading bug to 210. The runway is 19. We're set to the right CTAF frequency. Our barometer is still 3019. We're good there. Pattern altitude is 7,600. We are descending. So power is required. Carburetor heat is required. We'll turn carburetor heat on. Fuel selector fullest tank. We'll go to right. Fuel pump on. Okay. We should be able to see the field. I guess that should be it right in front of me there, somewhere. That's the little town of West Yellowstone. We're just a few miles out now. If we can't see the field, we'll just overfly it. But that's got to be it right there. So I think I see it right there. All right. Okay, we're getting ready to enter the pattern. Latest winds are 155. And we're making our way down to 7,600 feet, which is where we will fly the pattern. About here. I'd say West Yellowstone traffic, Cherokee 15 Juliet Golf is entering the pattern 45 downwind for 19er, West Yellowstone. I don't want to descend here. Get ourselves set up right. Oh, there we go. That was our trim tab coming alive. here. And I'll set my course to 19. So I have that visual reference also. Down here. So the yellow line here is my runway heading. The red heading bug is where the wind is from. Okay, we're about right. And we're going to fly till we are abeam the numbers. Now we've got a tailwind blowing us this way, so we need to crab a little bit to the left. And be ready for that to shorten our final leg. So here we are coming up abeam to the numbers, and my touchdown point is going to be right that white thing there. So right about here we cut the throttle, carb heat on, fuel pump on, first notch of flaps. And we start to fly the airplane downhill. We want to trim for about 90. Get my sight picture about right. There we go. I make my turn. West Yellowstone traffic, Cherokee 15 Julie Golf, turning base for 19er. West Yellowstone. $500, that's about right. Might give a little power here. Next notch of flaps. There we go. West Yellowstone traffic, Cherokee 15 Julie Golf is turning final for 19er, West Yellowstone. The earth here rises up a couple, maybe 50 or 100 feet higher than the field. It's interesting, you don't want to be too low. We're trimmed to about 70. We want to be a little, about right on our speed. Turn into the numbers, the field, there it is. Now, we overturned it a little bit. Again, that's probably that crosswind. So now the question is, can we get there? Because this is a dangerous thing to try to get there. You can cross over the controls and stall the airplane in a heartbeat. So we're going to just stay right here. Not put in the last flaps yet. There we go, full flaps. Gently, even just with the rudder, nose the plane over. And get ourselves on the center line. Little movements. I wonder if the wind in the simulator is more than it is on the real world MEDAR. It seems a little higher. Okay, cut the throttle. Just float her on down. There we go. Okay, so we're down. Not quite on the center line, but not terrible. Especially with a little bit of a crosswind. Missed that taxi part, or that taxiway there, but we'll get the next one. So that was fun. I had fun shooting it. I hope you had fun watching it. And thanks for, as always, for watching on the glide slope. Looks like they've got a nice little airport rendered here. And looks like we have to go all the way down to the end here to come back around. So we shall. And I'll come back for the cleaning up the airplane and turning it off. Okay, we've exited the runway. We'd make a CTAP call. Let's say West Yellowstone traffic, Cherokee 15 Julie Golf is clear of 19er. We would turn off our carb heat, we'd turn off our fuel pump. We'd put the flaps back up, and we would turn off our landing lights, but we never turned them on. Turn off our strobe, keep our beacon on, and then we'll make our way down to park. I was running here with full vegetation autogen and full buildings autogen. and full scenery complexity. And my frame rates are rock solid at 30. And we didn't have a lot of clouds. That makes a huge difference. But it clearly wasn't the ActiveSky Cloud Art that was causing the problem earlier. I think I just had too much on in Orbx Vector. And that makes a difference. So I turned off, as I said earlier, the tertiary roads. And oh, look at that, Orbx has some people walking around at this airport. That's cool. I don't know if you can see that over there. And that made a big difference, but I'm also out in the boonies. You know, there's no buildings out here to render, no roads to put cars on, so that also makes a big difference, I'm sure. We'll taxi right up here. Get some gas from that fuel truck. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time. We'll go through our shutdown checklist now. Flaps are up, carburetor heat is off, transponder would be to standby, let's presume it is. Well, actually I have a standby button, so we'll press that. Electrical equipment off, so there go the avionics. Mixture to idle cutoff, magnetos to off, master off. And we are once again cold and dark. Put on the parking brake and be ready to go. Although, you know, haven't met a real pilot yet that uses a parking brake. So thanks for watching on the GlideScope, and I'll be interested to see how the first person view worked for a full flight, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Thanks for watching.